Alright guys, so like I told you, I'm going to show you how to install these H&R springs on a G8. The first thing you want to do is take some measurements all the way around the car and write those down. You don't have to do this. I always just like to see what the difference was after I get them done. The next thing you're going to want to do is get this thing off the ground. So jack it up and put some jack stands under it, and then we're going to remove the wheels. Alright, so once you have the wheel out of the way, you're going to loosen this top 18mm bolt. So you're going to need an 18mm socket on one side and 18mm wrench on the other. And then after that, we're going to release the brake line. Not going to unhook it. We're just going to take it out of the mount here. Alright, now that we got that out and it's out of the way, we're going to go and we're going to loosen the bottom one. That's also 18mm. And then these guys here, there's 4 of them. 2 there, 2 there. Those are 15mm. You're going to take those out. And then you're going to take the sway bar end link out, which is a 15mm on the top side as well. Alright, so when you're trying to take this 15mm bolt out, or nut off of here, the center wants to spin, so you need a T30, which fits in the end of that to keep it from spinning while you're pulling that out. Alright, so all that stuff's loose. The biggest complaint people say when they're removing these is you can't get the control arm down far enough to get the spring and assembly out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually use some strut compressors or some spring compressors and compress that spring a little bit. You're going to need those for the front anyway. So I'm going to compress the spring a little bit and we're going to see if that can pull this out. Alright, so the back one is out. You can kind of see how I use the strut compressor. I still had to pry it out. It's not the easiest thing in the world. I'm almost sure that it'd be easier if you took the bottom bolt out of the lower control arm. But anyway, I got it out. I'm going to put the new one back together. And then do yourself a favor while you're in here, clean all this gunk out. This is a great time to scrub this and then put some flat black paint or something just to make it look way better. No sense in putting it back together all dirty. Alright, so now that it's off, you're going to take, while this is struts compressed, or the springs compressed, you're going to take the nut off the end. Just make sure that you keep this all in order the way it comes off. Put it back together in the exact same manner. Now you can see right here there's a little ledge that spring sets on. Make sure that the spring is setting on that when you seat the new one. And then tighten it back up with the new spring on it. Alright guys, we're all put back together. Now we need to torque this stuff. Make sure you put your brake line back in its holder. Do not forget to do that. The top upper control arm bolt here, that's going to go to 44 pound-feet plus 90 degrees. The top strut mounts, so at the very top there, those 4 guys, that is going to be 43 pound-feet for each one of those. Down at the bottom, of course, you've got the bottom of the strut. That is going to be 33 pound-feet. And then the sway bar nut that goes on that, don't forget to hook that up. I don't have it hooked up yet, but that is 37 pound-feet. And like I said, take your time and clean stuff up while you're in here. I put just a little bit of paint on there to make it look nicer, and you're all wrapped up in the back. So now we're going to move on to the front. Alright, so once you have the front wheel off, you're going to take the sway bar nut off, which is the end link for the sway bar. So you're going to take that off. You're then going to take the brake line out of the bracket, the sensor, the wheel speed sensor out of the bracket, and then you're going to take these 2 bolts out here. So the top and bottom. And then once we're done there, we're going to go to the top and take this guy off. You're going to need something to hold that because it's going to want to spin. So put something on top and take it off with a wrench. Alright, so when you're putting the front back together, there's a couple things you need to take note of. First thing, on the outside of this guy here, so lined up, there's a mark right there. That needs to be lined up with where the strut actually mounts on the front side. So make sure that that's lined up. The other thing is you're going to need some pretty long zip ties to zip tie the bottom of this boot and the top of this boot. So you need at least a 14-inch zip tie. So make sure you do that. That way no dirt gets in there. And now we're ready to put this back in. Alright, so we're all back together now. Now we need to torque these bolts. So the nut for the sway bar, that's 37 pound-feet. Then these 2 guys here, you're going to go 63 pound-feet on the first pass, 74 pound-feet on the second pass, and then 90 degrees past that. And then I'm going to load the suspension to tighten the top one. This guy up here, that goes to 55 pound-feet But like I said, I'm going to put the car down on the ground, get weight on it, and then tighten that up. Another really wild thing about these cars is it says to torque the wheels to 120 pound-feet, which I thought it was really hard to get the lug nuts off, but that's what it calls for, so that's what we're going to do. And that should be it. I'll show you a picture when I'm all done. Alright, so here it is all lowered. It came down about 1 inch in the front and about 3/4 of an inch in the back. Now, I've been driving it for about a week, waiting for it to settle. I think it's going to come down another 1/4 inch all the way around, maybe even more. It's came down about a 1/4 inch since I've been driving it, so I think it'll settle out nice, but it looks way better.